I mean, it's just crazy how far that went. Like making a stupid decision like that, like, and look where the butterfly effect of it. Yeah. It's keeping you from becoming president again.
Do you think he regrets getting slapped in the butt with a magazine?
Yeah, I'm sure.
Nah, dude, you're 06 Trump. Think about that. Yeah.
Obviously, this is a big one that we have to do. And you're gonna have to edit this like right now, so thank you.
Thanks, Ken.
No problem.
So as you guys know, Trump was found guilty of 34 counts.
34.
Oh,
34. Yeah.
Is it for
34 felony counts. Yeah, it's for real.
You know, all the like right-wing people I follow, they immediately say he just won the presidency. What does that mean?
It means that like there's a martyrdom that could possibly happen because of this.
Oh.
And also the
like he's Jesus, he got crucified, so now for sure he'll be.
And it's also because they're already in the belief and the narrative that like he's being indicted for like bullshit anyway, and they're making up all these things anyway. So the farther it goes down the rabbit hole, the more they're like, see, it almost like solidifies this idea that Democrats will do anything to just try and win this election.
They're trying to take him down.
So they have to come up and they have to show up at the front gates to do even more.
It's also a belief that he's so set to win that the only thing he can do is block him from running.
I see.
So it's like a weird.
This is their attempt.
Yeah. So what I was thinking is that like because we've never really had to delve into this detailed wise. Now is a good time to really go back through the timeline and find out what these 34 counts of felonies stem from.
Yeah, because I don't even know what they are.
Exactly, yeah. So let's do that. The crazy
35!
34.
Don't add anymore, man. Come
Joe's
on.
adding more.
43.
So here's the timeline of everything, and it does. As a crazy thing, who would have ever thought that Stormy Daniels would play such a role in American or world history?
A porn star, right?
No.
That's great.
So
Porn star and a reality TV show businessman.
Yeah. Here's
That's so America, dude.
So
So America.
Land of opportunity.
So let's start at the very beginning, because I think for most people, we kind of just know Stormy Daniels was in the picture, but no one thought too hard about it, and now is a good time to really like sort it all out. Yeah. So here's how it starts. 2006, there's a celebrity golf tournament that Trump is at, and that's where Stormy Daniels meets Trump. Melania was not president at the time. She was busy having a baby, something like that. 2006, he asks her to have dinner with him. They end up at Lake Tahoe. She goes to his hotel room. She goes to the bathroom and comes out, and Trump is laying on the bed in his boxers and his shirt. And this is all stuff that's being said in the court like now. So that's why this stuff is like out. She suggested that they just go to dinner already, but then he apparently blocked the door and said, "This is the only way you're getting out of the trailer park."
Oh, shit.
What the fuck?
Oh,
These are all like quotes, all right?
You know what's crazy?
That's so funny.
That sounds like something he would say.
Yeah.
So then they end up having raw dogging consensual sex in the missionary position. She says she didn't really want to do it, but she did it. And then at one point she even describes spanking his ass with a magazine.
Oh, wow.
This is in court?
Spank my ass.
These are actual things that were detailed in court.
He's probably just sitting there too.
I know. I wish I could have watched the court footage just to like see his face.
And then they said the whole time that she was saying these details, the other side was like, "Oh no, mistrial." They were trying to like kind of block it from being said because they just didn't think it was necessary to say these details.
It's not, but it's funny.
Yeah. So
a magazine spank.
So this is what happened. That's what happened in 2006. By 2011, when rumors of Trump running for president came around, then Stormy Daniels had offered to sell her story to Life and Style magazine for anywhere between 11 or 15K.
That's it?
Yeah. When the magazine,
Well, he didn't win yet.
15K?
when the magazine had to reach out to the Trump organization for comment because they have to do that as their due diligence. That's when the Trump organization threatened to sue if the story was published because they said, they basically were threatening a lawsuit. So then they just killed the story. And then it did get leaked to another person who put it on a blog called The Dirty, which was a big website back then. The Dirty was kind of like it was just a website where people were like talking shit about other people and they would just put it up. They wouldn't verify anything. That went up for a day, but then it got deleted immediately, which in the future revealed that it was from Trump's then lawyer, Michael Cohen, who had like went in and was like, no, you're not putting that up.
Whoa.
2011.
Michael Cohen's the one who was responsible for getting it deleted.
Oh yeah, and that's going to be a big thing as we go. 2011, Stormy Daniels says on her way to a fitness class with her infant daughter, a stranger approached her and said, "That's a beautiful little girl. It'd be a shame if something happened to her mom."
Whoa.
Which sounds so like 90s villain.
He's doing this to his
And that's when she started to fear for her family's safety with the things that she knew. Once the 2016 election started to come around, the Trump organization's executive vice president, who was Michael Cohen at the time, paid $130K to Stormy Daniels via her lawyer at the time for her to sign this NDA that said she can no longer shop that story around. And because she was afraid that something might happen to her, she did end up signing it. Michael Cohen initially said that the funds were from his own personal account and not affiliated with the Trump campaign funds.
This is the discrepancy.
This is the part that everything got fucked up. But then as we go forward, these things that were said ended up getting slowly pulled back, like in different ways. Eventually, they did admit that the money was for Stormy Daniels to be quiet about Trump's thing.
Like a slush fund.
Yeah, they would first say it's not, and then they would say it is. Yeah. Eventually, it gets to the point where Rudy Giuliani becomes Trump's lawyer and straight up says that Trump reimbursed Cohen for that money. That's the big bad.
Fucking Rudy, dude.
So then,
And he tried to get a blowjob from that girl.
And he was a Borat too.
I think the information just kept getting so public that they had to keep admitting to little things here and there until finally they just admitted that the whole thing. Like Trump still to this day says he didn't have sexual relations with that woman, whatever. But then this money part. That's where it all gets messy, and so Cohen had to plead guilty to campaign finance violation, and he was sentenced, among other things like tax evasion, he was sentenced to 3 years in federal prison and got disbarred. So that was like a really big thing that had happened.
So is he in jail now?
I don't know if he's in jail now. Stormy Daniels ended up filing 3 lawsuits against Trump. The first one is claiming that the NDA is invalid, which it kind of is because Trump never signed it. And also the terms, I don't think you can actually enforce that. But they ended up dismissing that suit because Trump and Cohen never enforced the NDA to begin with. They never sued her over breaking it. So they didn't need to do anything there. And then the second lawsuit she lost, she was claiming that she was claiming defamation on her name because of everything they had said. But she lost that and had to pay Trump $300K in legal fees. The third lawsuit was accusing the lawyer, Michael Cohen, of conspiring with her lawyer at the time against her interests. So they may have colluded together to figure something out against what she wanted. That was settled out of court. We don't know what happened with that one. So then that leads us to Trump being indicted on the charges relating to the mismanaged money during this period because since it was confirmed that campaign money was used in this way.
Because he reimbursed Michael Cohen.
But in the actual records for how they're keeping documentation of it, they didn't say that it was being used in that way. So that's what the 34 counts comes from. And it's 34 counts of the same exact thing. It's falsifying business records in the first degree. And you can see the list publicly where it says falsifying records. It's always the same thing, and it'll be like reimbursing Michael Cohen, reimbursing blah blah blah, because he had done it for, I guess there were multiple people that they needed to pay off to keep quiet so that the presidential campaign wouldn't be compromised. Nice. And when it's in that exact terminology, that means you're using campaign funds basically illegally, because you're supposed to you're falsifying your business records in order to win an election that otherwise you may not have won had you honestly recorded all of the expenditures.
Yeah, what could he written it down as? Like, because reimbursement, isn't that kind of like general? Like,
Well, I think what they were able to prove in this trial, it's kind of hard to understand, but what they were able to prove is that he just basically falsified business records, which you're not allowed to do.
You know what the funny thing is to me? Is it kind of proves like the Republicans' point on how fucking hard they're auditing Trump when there's so much corruption in our government and there's all these projects, like how many rail fail, like these projects of like, we're gonna have a new rail in California or Hawaii, and then they never get audited, right?
Never.
There's slush funds for all state government politicians that are in sexual scandals. And it's like, he's not the only politician that's going through this, but how come he is getting so scrutinized versus all of our politicians currently who are under investigation?
So the main objective is that because he is a technically felon, then he's not supposed to be allowed to run for...
So that's the true goal, probably.
I mean, and it's very obvious that that's the play they're trying to go for, but... So that it's gonna... He basically got convicted in the New York court, right?
Yeah.
So their next move is just to appeal it, which could be years.
So he could be president, because if he's not officially a felon...
Because the election's gonna happen before the appellate court handles this case. That means he could still become president...
And he could excuse himself once he's
Unless-
president.
I think so. I think there's something...
Presidents have the power.
This is so crazy.
To pardon themselves?
Yeah, they can pardon.
They can pardon themselves? Isn't there a checks and balance element to it?
So there's something that's...
Bill Clinton couldn't pardon himself.
Well, he didn't commit a felony.
There's a check and balance with this, and it's not... I think... I might be getting this wrong, but I think in this situation, because it's a crime in the state, the governor can pardon him or something.
oh, does he have friends in the government?
But I don't know. It's something weird. Well, I don't
I
know.
think it's gonna be a crazy house of cards.
What the
dude.
fuck is gonna happen then?
And then watch, they're gonna suddenly somehow expedite the appellate court on it.
Yeah, but that-
prior to the election.
Right. But then the thing is, do they want to do that? Because if the appellate court is on the side of Trump, which we don't know if they are, then expediting it would just make it even quicker for him to...
They're both just playing games on both sides.
Yeah, so it's almost like there's so many angles in which you're trying to do this, and it is super hard to understand. There's also a really big thing I'm leaving out because it's such its own story, but apparently somewhere in the middle of this, Trump and Michael Cohen had partnered with this corporation that owns like the Inquirer and a bunch of different publications, and they had this deal where they were going to make sure that stories that made Trump look positive went out and stories that made him look negative didn't. And within all the publications underneath this umbrella, right? And then something had happened where like whenever women would come forward about these stories, like, oh, like he sexually assaulted me or whatever, if that were to happen, what they would do is a company would buy the story under the guise that they were going to run it, but they would buy it and kill it. So that way it would have exclusivity on them and they would just never put it out. And I think that was supposed to happen with Stormy Daniels' story, and it didn't.
Oh, damn.
So there's an interesting thing there where I think, it's hard to understand, but it looks like whatever deal they had went sour in some way because they were buying stories and they weren't being reimbursed for the money that they were spending to buy these stories. Damn. So when Stormy Daniels' story came around, they didn't buy it because something weird had happened with their situation. Had they been properly reimbursed, they might have just bought her story and kept it quiet forever. Yeah. But they missed.
Or it could have been whoever's on the Democratic side, they're just trying to find any type of like crack in the system and then really capitalize on it too.
Yeah.
But I thought Trump and Cohen had a falling out.
They did, yeah.
Oh, okay.
They did eventually, yeah. And that's
You went to federal prison for 3 years?
yeah.
You didn't do your job. You're fired.
So there's like if you look up the timeline online, there's so much more to this, and this is just like kind of the part that I'm connecting in order to get us here. But that's what the 34 counts is. It's all the same
same thing.
and it's a white collar crime. He's not expected to have any jail time because it's first offense and it's nonviolent.
He'll be technically a felon.
he will be technically on paper a felon after the appellate court thing if that fails.
It's like NBA where you have a few seconds left and you try to draw a foul. So you can they're just playing games.
I think like when people who are against Trump are like, oh dude, it's over. It's like there's so many more steps from here to like almost filibuster this entire thing, like delay of game it to oblivion, that it's like they haven't even exhausted maybe like 1% of that shit.
Wow.
Like,
But it's the perception too, because people that are kind of moderate, they're like, well, I'm not gonna vote for a felon.
Exactly.
Or some people might go, well, I'm gonna. It's a big gamble, because some people might go, fuck yeah, this proves that the government is corrupt and they're trying to take down our guy.
It is though. I feel like more people are gonna think that than, oh, this guy's a felon, and brush it off.
because it's the first time this ever happened.
Yeah.
No time in history has a former president become a felon. That's never happened.
Another first for Donald Trump, huh?
Yeah.
And if you really look into it, right? To me, if you study politics and what they do, I'm like, how is this any different from a lot of fucking politicians that do the same shit?
And that's what the thing is that's interesting is like, yeah, this is the first time it's happened to a former president, but it's pretty far-fetched to think that no former president has ever done anything that warrants becoming a felon. Like,
Or even the one right now. Wasn't there remember when Hunter Biden was getting all these payments from Ukraine or these Ukrainian companies?
Where's the
and then you would see the receipt of Biden was charging Hunter Biden $48,000 for rent or something. It's like, who the fuck would charge that much? Your own son? And then you would see that Hunter Biden was getting $48,000 deposits monthly. So, and it's down to the decimal. It was almost like, oh, so actually Biden is just getting paid by this Ukrainian company, but that's not under scrutiny, you know?
For me, it's
Not our
like,
president.
it's not fishy that these guys are doing this. What's fishy is, why is this person being under a magnifying glass when all of these other guys are doing it?
And I want to know who is the main antagonist to Trump that's setting all this up, that's pushing him to the wall.
it's definitely not someone that we know.
And
Like,
it's
not someone that's in
probably
the,
a group, or is
it's
it
not one
a-
person.
Yeah, is it Democrats? Is it?
It's whoever Biden's boss is.
I think it's just a mixture. I think it's a mixture of people that just are depending on the system not changing to where whatever they're doing gets messed up.
I think
But no one knows who they are.
one of the things that during the Trump administration is the military-industrial complex didn't make as much money as prior to his administration and currently with Biden. So Raytheon, Boeing, all these guys.
And that's talking billions of dollars.
So they're like, if he comes back, that's another 4 years of setbacks for a company. So all those people that are like, we want a different president that will play ball with us, maybe their sponsors is the ones that's working this.
Man, I really hope this unravels all the other bullshit that politics has.
I don't really think it'll do anything, honestly. I think this is just another side of
but
bullshit.
it's making people talk about it more and ask way more questions.
It is, but it's only 4 years, max. Even if Trump wins, it's only 4 years of delays. And then if we don't have another president that maybe challenges Boeing or whatever.
Also, we're a nation of double standards and flippant, the second we get into an emotional kind of turmoil for one period of time, we might all flip a couple years later and feel completely opposite during this time.
That's true.
Society is gonna command and deem that we need to believe this type of thing, otherwise we're not cool here. You know what I mean? It's just gonna constantly go around in circles.
The crazy thing is how, which I think is really dumb, is how there are conservatives and Republicans that are still honestly believing that Stormy Daniels was lying about the whole thing.
That's funny.
They really don't think Trump did anything at all, and it's like,
But what if he? What if he
man,
really
let's get-
didn't?
Well, I will say, based off of my math, of the $130,000 NDA she received, but the $300,000 she had to pay, she's down 170 grand and had to slap his ass with a magazine.
I mean, it's just crazy how far that went. Making a stupid decision like that. and look where the butterfly effect of it.
Yeah.
It's keeping you from becoming president again.
Do you think he regrets getting slapped in the butt with a magazine?
Yeah, I'm sure.
Nah, dude, you're 06 Trump. Think about that.
I'm sure it's just crazy to think that like they denied it all the way up to admitting it. Like every step of the way they were like, no, there's no hush money. No, there's no that didn't
And then
happen.
Rudy's like,
no, there's no
yeah.
this. Yeah, and then they started saying yes, this was this, and yes, this was that. Like they were just like constantly like dealing out little admission cards of like that was true, that was true, that was
Well,
true.
what's crazy is they knew, right? They knew at some point, but they kept, admitting it, even though they knew that where it would lead to, which is Trump not being able to run. Or
Yeah,
him
I
getting
mean, that's
what
for sure.
do you think pressured them to go? All
And
right,
there's
fine. Like,
there's more things than this. This is just the Stormy Daniels one. There's other people. There's like another
yeah.
Playboy model that happened
Damn.
with. There was also a doorman from like one of his like Trump Tower or whatever that was like had a story about an illegitimate kid that he has. Whoa. And they killed that story. They bought that and killed it. And then they waited until he was elected president, and then they released that guy's story. And they were like, "Go ahead and tell it now. He's already president."
Dude, out of all the stories you think that got submitted to these things, like what percentage do you think it's actually true?
That's the thing.
Because his antagonist, whoever is trying to do it, could be looking for specific people to go, "Hey, tell the story. Hey, tell."
Well,
the
when they're
story."
not true, they don't care. They don't buy it. But that's the thing. They're paying money to the ones that have evidence.
I mean, lies are powerful, dude. You could tell someone constantly the same lie over and over and over, and it doesn't matter if it's truth or lie. It depends on how much exposure you get. So if you can hear the same thing over and over, even if it's a lie and you don't believe it, you emotionally react to it.
Yeah.
So there's like that's the dangerous thing about propaganda.
The funny thing too is that you have a president or you have a guy that's running for president with 34 counts of felony or whatever. In what world do people still want him to be president? And the answer is this one, where Biden has done such a bad job universally to bipartisanly, like people are just like, I just don't want this anymore. I don't want all this money going to Israel or Ukraine, or they don't want what's happening now, that they're still going to be faithful to a guy that literally should be running.
I actually don't think it's a Biden supporter. I think it's Trump hater. So it's like people either like Trump or hate him.
Yeah.
And they just want to choose somebody that isn't Trump because they hate him so much.
Yeah. Yeah.